Hi and welcome to round number 7. In this round I played against a 2300 rated player with the black pieces, and we started with the Sicilian defense and a delayed Alapin variation. White wants to build a strong center and black can counter this by annoying the e4 pawn with knight f6, knight jumps in the center and d4 takes. Now black has several moves available, but I chose to challenge his center with d6, putting some pressure on the e5 pawn, maybe able to exchange there later. He attacked my knight, but the knight is protected and we are not really scared of the knight being taken, so just develop bishop e7, castles, and queen e2. Now black somehow needs to solve the problem of this bishop on c8, and that's why I play b6. One of the ideas is that after queen e4, when he's getting ready to attack my king with bishop d3, I'm in time to play bishop a6, and I'm not really losing a pawn here because black is getting a huge initiative in this situation, especially after knight c6. Black is already better. And the tactics work out for black because here after takes, rook c8, the bishop on c1 also drops. So he did not go for this one, but he played rook d1, which I think is one of the best moves here. And I played bishop b7. And now he took on d5. And if you want to challenge yourself, you can think about how to recapture. And it's probably on first sight a bit paradox that you take now with the pawn, because you just got ready taking with the bishop. But there is a problem. If you take with the bishop, he will play knight to c3, and if you then retreat, his rook on d1 is very strong and white gets some very sharp play and a good initiative in the center when black is worse. So that's why that is not a way to play, but you instead take with the pawn, and if he pushes, then not so much is happening. We have a good control in the center with all those pawns, and he has not really something he can attack. Often the knight is developed to c7, where it covers this hole on e6, and black is doing quite fine. However, he first developed knight c3. I played knight a6 anyway. That's the way to go, and I was still familiar with this up to this point, but with bishop c4, bishop f4, sorry, I was a bit surprised. And I just checked the move knight to b5. After which I was planning to take and jump with the knight to c5. So in the game I did the same, and I think it's quite reasonable. Okay, pawn takes. I think that's the sharpest. If he takes with anything else than the knight, then his rook on d1 is a bit passive, and I think black has no problems, and in the long term I can maybe activate my bishop or just go into some endgames where my bishop pair can finally be some advantage. So I think taking with the pawn is fine. Knight to c5, knight to d4, and now I was considering knight e6, but I thought maybe I can improve my position first, because he would just retreat and maybe knight f5 is on the way, and if I take, that's of course playable, but I thought it's kind of simplifying the position and I wanted to keep it more complex. That's why I played queen d7 first, being able to put some rook on the d file in case this pawn ever gets weak. I have firmly defended it with the rook. Also eyeing this square. If he ever wants to jump here, he needs to prepare it. And also having some control of b5, which sometimes preventing some knight jumps. So he played rook c1, and I played rook d8, and he played h3. And now I played knight e6, bishop e3, and here I should have done something else than in the game. In the game I took, but f6 would have been stronger, because after such trades, the position gets a bit opened up, and my bishop pair can play quite okay here, and black is doing fine. Black is not better, but we reach an almost equal position after the queen trade. And probably I would like to keep the bishop for a while, because then I have the pair of bishops and I'm not left over with just one bishop controlling only light squares, but with the pair of bishops I control both colors, and I think it's fine. Maybe, yeah, maybe I also can trade, but I think there are several ways to go. Just need to be a bit careful about rook c7, but this position here is absolutely fine. Instead of f6, I chose to take, and play bishop g5. But still, here it's not so clear to me what my actual plan should be. For example, I would love to play queen to f5, controlling a lot of squares, and maybe finally targeting the e5 pawn. However, there's a problem. There will always be knight b5, and it's kind of annoying that the knight might jump there. I could still pin it, but he's also ready to protect it and then move the queen, and then a7 might be hanging, or the knight will continue, and if I take, I also open him the a file, which I did not like. That's why I started with rook e8. Also, another idea for white after queen f5 is trying to play a4 and trying to create some weaknesses here, which is also quite tricky, and I was a bit concerned about this in the game. That's why I started rook e8, having a good answer on a4, which is f6. Immediately getting some counterplay in the center, and yeah, I think black is doing very fine here. Okay, instead he played queen f3, after which I thought, okay, now I can no longer play this, and I think queen f3 is actually quite okay, but at least he cannot push his f4 pawn and expand on the king side. So here many moves possible, but I did not find the best one. I played my bishop back to here, and the reason for this is that I was still a bit afraid of this a4 plan, and this I could now at least answer with bishop b4 when he cannot really push a5. He went back with his rook to the center. I was considering if he wants a draw and I can repeat the moves, but first I didn't want to play a draw myself, and second I thought he could also just improve the rook further, and I'm just moving my bishop back and forth, so I saw no reason to go for this, but instead play rook c8. Maybe able to put some pressure on the center with rook c4 later, or in general just occupying the open file, because d5 is not really under attack, cannot move this bishop away, otherwise I will always open my bishop. He found a good move, queen g3, which was stronger than I had first thought, because after this his threat is not only e6, after which I could take with the pawn and defend g7, but he can take on g7 first. And after this and check, he will fork my rooks and black is just lost. So I need to be aware of this capture on g7, and that's why I played bishop f8. And he played f4, which is good. I played rook c4, being aware that 94 is in the air, threatening some stuff. A big fork on f6, and I need to take, but in this particular position I just get too much material for the queen, and black would be winning. So he cannot yet play this, but with his next move he's preparing this, because I no longer take on d1 with a check. So I also needed to do something about it, and I decided to go king h8, so that knight f6 won't be a check. Here actually white is much better according to the computer, but in the game it didn't feel like this to me. And I thought I'm doing okay here. For example, what I calculated is he might go queen f3, I might go here, provoke him, and then it's not so clear how far he can push his pawns, because his king might be very weak in the long term. And also I did not feel so much in danger. Maybe I can come through on the b line somehow, put some pressure, and maybe finally attack his king, but yeah, that's not what happened. He decided to trade queens, after which in the game I thought I must be very comfortable, but actually there are still things to worry about. For example, in the game I was also considering if he can put pressure on h7 quickly, and yeah, maybe that's possible, but it's not so easy to organize, because I also have some threats. He cannot move the rook so easily, but what he could have done here after rook c8 is playing, for example, g5, fixing this pawn and controlling all the center, and I don't have a lot of active counterplay. So that would have been quite reasonable, but luckily for me, he played knight e2, after which I traded all the rooks. Also, rook c2 is interesting, but I just traded everything and thought I'm a little better here, but actually that's not true. And white is just doing okay, despite black having the pair of bishops. White has good central control. And so after I did not find anything here, I finally decided to give the bishop for the knight. And because bishop e7 just seemed too passive to me and I did not see a plan how I could win the game, so I took. And even though we played a few more moves, I offered a draw here, and since we have opposite colored bishops with equal material, there is no chance for either side, because this kind of endgames, they are quite drawish, and yeah, there is no hope for anything real after something like this. I will try to exchange some pawns and also on this wing, and those pawns are just going nowhere and there are just no other pawns left, and black is holding comfortably and white also has no worries. So yes, draw is okay, I think, against the 2300 guy with black. Not so many chances. It felt like some more chances in the game, but actually I never had a chance. Maybe the best chance was when I could play f6 in the opening and get some equal ending, because yeah, after this white was even better. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you're new here, please like and subscribe, and hope to see you next time. Goodbye.